Game one is in the books, and your Cleveland Cavaliers look great. We'll break it all down coming up on the Ultimate Cavs Show. Happy game day, happy win day for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mikey McNuggets here. I'm still dealing with a little bit of a sore throat, and I'm losing my voice, so we're going to keep this pretty quick. But we had to hop on and talk about the Cavs dominating victory over the Orlando Magic today. If I start coughing at any point, got my water bottle here. I appreciate you guys bearing with me, but we're going to do this in about 15 minutes. I'll try to get a couple of viewer comments in here at the end. And we're going to talk about the Cavs dub in game one over Orlando. First and foremost, we got to talk about the defense because that was the most impressive part of the Cavaliers' victory today. They held Orlando to 83 points, 32.6% from the floor, 21.6% from three. Orlando took 30 free throws and scored 83 points. Think about that. They took 30 free throws and scored 83 points. That is a tremendous effort from the Cleveland Cavaliers defensively, top to bottom. Everyone who played contributed in some aspect, in some way or form, to the defensive effort the Cavs put forward today, allowing them to never trail in this game, despite at one point missing 18 three-pointers in a row. We said it before the game started, and I said it all week on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I said it on the Ultimate Cavs Show on Tuesday. Powell's going to get his. It is what it is. It's the other guys who can't beat you, especially from deep. And the Cavs, not saying they listened, but they were along the same wavelength as me in terms of the way they approach this game from a defensive standpoint. Paolo scored his 24 points. He also had 9 turnovers. The rest of the guys, Franz Wagner, he had 2 shots late. His numbers looked better than they actually were throughout the game. Jalen Suggs was 4 of 16 from the floor. Gary Harris, 0 for 6. Jonathan Isaac, 3 for 8. If you look at the Magic's guards, the top 5 guards who played in this game, and I'm going to include Joe Ingles as a guard. If you want to say he's a forward, whatever, he had the lowest numbers. But Orlando's 5 guards, and here's the box score right here. Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Joe Ingles, Cole Anthony, and Markelle Fultz. Those 2 went a combined 4 for 35 from the floor. I'm going to say that again. Orlando's top 5 guards, Harris, Suggs, Ingles, Anthony, Fultz. 4 for 35. 6 plus 16, 22, plus 2, 24, plus 11 is 35. 4 of 35 from the floor. That might be the worst shooting performance from a combination of guards in the history of an NBA playoff game. Now, granted, they missed some open shots. That's basketball. But the Cavs did not let them get any easy looks, especially in the half court. And even with Paolo, he had to work for his buckets. And a good player is going to make tough shots. But what the Cavs did and what they're going to have to continue to do is make sure the shots are contested and that he's the one beating them, not everyone else. I thought the Cavs' intensity defensively was phenomenal. I thought their attention to detail and their constant motion to create deflections, to cut off passing lanes was good. I thought their entire game plan to essentially play straight up was smart because they have a couple different guys they feel comfortable guarding. Banchero and Wagner and those guys on the perimeter. From a defensive standpoint, I'm not quite sure how much you could ask for. Hell, you held them to 83 points. That's an A. Seriously. I don't know how else you could. Yeah, maybe they fouled a little too much, but a couple of those were technical fouls. We'll talk about the reffing in a sec. But I thought it was really good. Hell, the Cavs even implemented a zone for the first time in forever for a few possessions. They haven't shown that, at least to my recollection, in at least a month. And it threw Orlando off. It's a great little wrinkle from JB Bickerstaff. Now Orlando will be ready for it in game 2. I'm not sure if you needed to deploy it in game 1. I would have rather kept it in the back pocket. But hell, it worked. Orlando had no idea what to do. And when they're going to shoot 8 of 37 from 3, you could try a little gimmick defense. I thought from a defensive standpoint, it was an A+ across the board for the Cavs. Seriously. Even George Niang, who, was 1 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 4 from 3, but he had a plus 13 in this game, tied with Max Strus for the highest on the Cavs. His individual one-on-one defense against Paolo Banchero was admirable. things got chippy. And I'll talk about the offense in a sec, but things got chippy. And we knew heading into this series it was going to be physical. Cavs had to rebound. Well, they won the rebounding battle by 14 today, 54-40. Jarrett Allen, 18 rebounds. Evan Mobley, 11 rebounds. Max Strus, 9 rebounds. Those 3 players, your 3 quote-unquote front court players in this game, 38 boards. Orlando as a team, 40. That's how you win a basketball game, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in terms of the refereeing, they let a lot go. That was a physical war. Seriously. And while I disagree with a lot of the individual calls the refs made throughout the game, I like that style of basketball where the refs essentially swallow their whistles and let guys play. I prefer it to be a physical war as opposed to a tactical tic-tac, every touch is a foul. I just prefer that style of basketball. So to me, I didn't have too many complaints with the officiating in the big picture. Yeah, a few calls here and there I definitely disagreed with, but for the most part, I like the physicality. I like the fact that you can be physical on defense, kind of force a guy to make a shot over and around you as opposed to just he puts his shoulder in and it's an automatic 2 free throws. But that's where I think the Cavs actually benefited the most today. We talked all last year, from the second the Knicks series started to the minute it ended to the second before tip-off today. This Cavs team was soft, right? That was the mantra. That's what the league thought of them. That's what we all said. They have to prove it in the playoffs. Is this team mentally and physically strong enough to win the playoffs, right? That was the big question surrounding this team. And today is one game. And granted, one game is not going to answer or solve all the issues. But for one game today, the Cavs showed that, yeah, we are a bunch of tough sons of bitches. And when push comes to shove, we can be physical. And I think Jarrett Allen said this best in the postgame. I asked him straight up. I said, Jarrett, you guys talked about practicing for the increase in physicality. You've been tugging in practice, bumping guys. How did what the game actually delivered compare to what you expected because of how you guys practiced? And he said, we did a good job preparing, but nothing actually equates to a real game situation. So it was more physical than we thought. But we kept our composure throughout. We never lost what we needed to have in mind, and we never let things get personal. Yeah, in the heat of the moment, we saw George Niang, we saw Isaac Okoro, they both got texts, but they never fully lost their composure as a team. And we saw against New York last season, when they lost their composure, they crumbled. This year, for momentary lapses, composure went out the window, and that's fine. But for the most part, they fought back. They got even. They brought the fight to Orlando at times from a physicality standpoint. And those are the baby steps and the progress that we needed to see from this team in order to believe they have higher aspirations than just beating the Orlando Magic. Now, granted, it's one game. It's one game. That doesn't rewrite the history books. You got to win at least a series before we can forget about what happened in New York last season. But we don't have 7 games of evidence or 5 games of evidence to go off of. We have just today. And today, the Cavs were the smarter, equally, if not more physical, and the more composed team than the Orlando Magic. That is tangible signs of growth from this young Cavaliers squad, who do look to be more ready and more accepting of the pressure and responsibility that comes with the playoff series. Guys, Orlando, all the stuff we saw the Cavs do offensively in their struggles against the Knicks last season, we saw it happen today for Orlando. They couldn't buy a shot. None of their role guys were capable of stepping up and making a jump shot. Jalen Suggs, 1 of 7 from 3. Gary Harris, 0 of 5. Joe Ingles, 0 of 1. Cole Anthony, 0 of 4. Mo Wagner, 1 of 2. 0 for 1, excuse me. Guys, like that was Danny Green and Isaac Okoro last year. And yeah, Cavs didn't shoot great. And I'll get to the offense in 1 sec. I promise that I'm going to get to some comments. But they didn't look like deer in headlights. And Donovan Mitchell played great, especially early. And Jarrett Allen had a huge first half. Evan Mobley, had a huge first half. And Jarrett Allen was solid throughout, 16 and 18. It was a team effort. And everyone they put on the court, minus the Sam Merrill minutes, and Karis LeVert's in the first half, which I'll talk about in a sec, were productive. And it wasn't always pretty, but the fact that the Cavaliers were able to win by double digits today while playing a B-, C+, B- overall game is a damn good step in the right direction. Let's talk about the offense for a sec. Donovan Mitchell, 30 points, 11 of 21 from the floor, 3 of 8 from 3, 3 assists, 4 turnovers. He was big early on. He set the tone. He got things started. Evan Mobley making those 2 threes in the first half was monumental for the success of this Cavaliers offense. I'm serious, guys. It was monumental. It changed the way Orlando covered and defended the Cavaliers pick and roll. They said at first, Evan, we don't think you're even going to take this shot. Rather, let's make it. We're going to leave you wide ass open. Wide open. Kill us. So what did Evan do? Lined up the sniper, put him in the scope, boom, headshot. Boom, headshot. Jamal Mosley, timeout. Okay, we have to reevaluate how we're going to defend this. Later in the first half, they were okay switching Cole Anthony, a backup point guard, onto Evan Mobley in the post. What does Evan do? First time, spin move, two-handed dunk. Second time, a little shimmy into a post hook. That is the tangible progression we've seen from Evan Mobley. Now, he missed his next 2 threes. He scored 0 points in the second half. Me, you, and Evan Mobley all scored the exact same amount of points in the second half. There's still room to grow, but the fact he took and made those shots early completely changed the defensive philosophy and schematics from the Orlando Magic. That was huge. Darius Garland, his final numbers, 14 points, 8 assists, 2 of 6 from 3, 6 of 11 from the floor. He was better in the second half than the first half. Thought Jalen Suggs was up in his you-know-what. Did a pretty good job keeping him at bay. And a couple of those turnovers from Darius, he has to clean up. But late in the game, after dealing with a little bit of a back injury, looked like a back spasm. He was getting a heating pack, and a trainer was massaging his back when he came to the bench in the second half. He made a couple big shots late. It was the little guys. And real quick, I'm not sure if the broadcast showed this. And I'm going to get to the comments in a sec. I don't have it up right now, but I'll go back. Let me know if you guys saw this, if Bally showed this on the broadcast. When he made those shots late, Max Strus and Donovan Mitchell both came over and were really hyping him up. They're in his ear, like, great shot. I don't know what they're saying, but it looked like they were kind of gassing him up, trying to build that confidence back up for Darius, who's had such a roller coaster season. So to see him in that situation make shots of that caliber is really promising. Jarrett Allen, Mr. Do-It-All, once again, 16 points, 18 boards, always in the right spot at the right time. Defensively, a menace again. Guys, the bench wasn't great. LeVert, 2 for 8. Niang, 1 for 7. Okoro, 1 for 2. Merrill, 0 for 2. So not a great bench performance, but when you hold the opponent to 83 points, you don't need a ton of bench points. How about that? Cavs only turned the ball over. Excuse me. They had 17 turnovers, but they held Orlando to 18 points on those 17 turnovers. Cavs had 21 assists. 54 rebounds. They out-rebounded Orlando by 14. That was one of my keys to the game. They pushed the pace when necessary. They got stops. It's frustrating when you don't convert those stops into points, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I think the Cavs played a C+, B- game. They can play so much better from an offensive standpoint. And they still won by 14. They still led from start to finish. They never trailed in this contest. They got out to a 7-point lead after the first quarter. It was up to 11 at one point in the first quarter. They won the second quarter. They won the third quarter. The fourth quarter, they lost by 1. From start to finish, it was 48 minutes of relatively dominant basketball for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And even when Orlando started to make these little runs, Cleveland responded. They were resilient. They stayed together. They played as a team. They backed each other up. How about George Niang and Isaac Okoro kind of getting into a little scuffle with the Orlando Magic when they took shots at their teammates? They didn't back down. This team feels like it has a different aura. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but they look like they were a significantly better team today than the Orlando Magic. And I think they are a better team. I think they're on a different tier. I just think, frankly, they have more talent and playmakers and creators offensively to do so many more things than the Orlando Magic can do. And it's one game. It's one game. I get it. It's one game. But it was a damn good game 1 performance from your Cleveland Cavaliers today. I see we got 174 comments in here. So I'm going to try to get through some of these as I think of some more thoughts, and then we will go through some final things and adjustments for game 2. But let us see where we are at. Let's see. We got Brylan said the Cavs look like the more physical team. I would agree. They were the more physical team. Where are you at? Mitchell already spoke. Well, I was there with Donovan Mitchell, and I had to walk home. So that's why I was about 10 minutes late. Let's see. We got Evan with the emojis, which you can't see in here. Are all the games on ESPN today? No, there's some on NBA TV. Plasma Vid said nice ass whooping. Michael said they shot 30% from the floor, 32%, but still phenomenal. Michael said, honestly, the most important thing in my mind was the toughness, not letting Wagner bully them. I love that 3 guys bumped him after he shoved Evan out of bounds. That's what I'm talking about. It was the resiliency. The little things, guys. Sometimes it's the little things that make such a difference and such a perception change. And them coming to his defense absolutely made a difference. Christopher Wall said the front court dominated, and he is absolutely right. Tony says they are 17-1 when they win game 1 in series history. I don't know if that's correct or not, but Tony, it's a great stat if it is. Let's see. Freddie said we're going to launch threes. The Magic can't keep up. The shooting advantage is heavily favoring the Cleveland Cavaliers. Heavily favoring the Cleveland Cavaliers. Bam Bam Bigelow says soft. You're not allowed to play defense in the modern NBA. There was nothing soft about today's game, guys. Nothing soft about today's game. That was a physical war. I'm not even sure if the TV did it justice, but it was a physical battle on both sides. And the Cavs not only held their own, but stepped up and I thought were the more physical team down the stretch. Asbury Collins says, JB perfect rotations. He played LeVert first. LeVert had some bad minutes early. He pulled him, put Sam Merrill in for 4 minutes. Merrill was 0 for 2. He had a bad miss on a 3. Pulled him back out. Karras was better in the second half. That was part of the rotation. Sam Merrill Money will have to be a part of the series later on. He got a chance today, but that was about it. Let's see. Bam Bam says a win is a win. Madden Ramon says got to limit the turnovers, though. That is absolutely correct. That is one of the changes that I think has to be made for game 2. Freddie B says Magic don't have enough firepower. I agree. Earl asked his first question ever in a post-game press conference today. So shout out to Earl. Big dub by the good guys. He is absolutely right on that. Also, as Earl should suggest, smash the like button. Isaac got his face smashed in on that dunk by Jarrett Allen. That absolutely sent Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse into a frenzy. The atmosphere today was absolutely electric. Start to finish, it was really good. Fumes wants to know about the live stream. Yeah, I set it up when I was in the post-game press conference. And then we had to wait till we got back to actually do it. LeBron says, how about Evan dropping 2 threes in the first quarter? We talked about it. One thing about the threes, I asked Donovan in the post-game presser, hey, how much does it help when Evan's shooting those threes? How much does it take pressure off you from a standpoint as a pick-and-roll creator? And he said his favorite shot Evan took wasn't the 2 makes, but it was the one in the fourth quarter he missed. And I said, why? And he goes, well, the confidence he showed to take that third one was such a big step in the right direction for Evan's development as an offensive player that he needs to take those shots in these kind of moments. And when he makes 2, shoot 3, 4, 5. Like, keep shooting, Evan. And I agree with Donovan. When he's spacing the floor by taking those threes, yeah, he has to make them to get the full spacing advantage. But just by even taking that shot, and defense is knowing he's willing to take that shot, they can't have Jonathan Isaac or Wendell Carter or Banchero, or whoever's guarding the screener on that play sit back in the paint. They have to go out and attack Evan Mobley, or it's going to be a wide open jump shot for a guy who's letting it fly right now with a lot of confidence. All right, let's talk game 2 now. Monday night. We spent 20 minutes on game 1. Let's take a look ahead to game 2. Make a couple slight tweaks I think JB can look at to maximize this series and head back to Orlando with a 2-0 lead. Couple things I really liked. The 2 big lineup was their best lineup today. I said beforehand I wasn't quite sure if that was feasible considering the spacing. But I actually think I was wrong on this one. I actually think I was wrong. Because Orlando's inability to score against the two big lineup, I actually think we're going to see more of that moving forward. And I think Marcus Morris plays in game 2. The spacing he provides from the 4 while keeping the size, I think is going to be pretty crucial for the Cavs. But I think we'll see more of this two big lineup because I just don't think anyone on Orlando scares you from deep. And with those two, you can kind of give up and allow some other guys to roam on the perimeter. You're not sacrificing the spacing offensively for what you're giving up defensively because of how good those two are defensively in limiting attacks to the basket, which is all Orlando wants to do. I think we're going to see Jalen Suggs guard Donovan Mitchell in game 2 from Orlando's standpoint. They mostly had Gary Harris guard Donovan today. Jalen was on Darius. I think they're going to switch that, which means we're going to see more Darius-initiated offense. I think part of the reason to let Donovan initiate so much today is, A, he's their best player, bar none. It's not close, but he had a much easier defender to attack. They also had they had Jonathan Isaac guarding Jarrett Allen, which I was a little surprised at, but then I thought, okay, well, if you have Jalen Suggs on Darius Garland, who's his pick and roll partner for the most part? It's Evan Mobley. All right, well, you got one of your two elite defenders guarding that matchup. On the flip side, if we have Gary Harris guarding Donovan Mitchell, his primary screener is Jarrett Allen. We'll put Jonathan Isaac in that action to try to muck that up. I think we're going to see Isaac continue to guard Allen. I think we're going to see Suggs switch over to Donovan Mitchell, in game 2. And that's going to put the Cavs in a bit of a pickle. Do you want to try to run pick and rolls against Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac time after time? Or are you going to allow Darius Garland to be your primary initiator against Gary Harris and Banchero, which I think is a much more feasible matchup to attack from a defensive standpoint? But bottom line, I trust Donovan over anyone else in the series. So I'm not going away from that. I just think that's a little tweak we'll see. They have to shoot better. You can't miss 18 threes in a row and expect to win many games, but I think these guys will continue to shoot better. Max Strus made his first 3 on the very first bucket of the game. He was 0 for 4 on his next 4. Evan made his first 2, then he missed a couple. Donovan made his first, then missed a couple. These guys aren't going to shoot that bad throughout the rest of the series. You would hope not, at least. It'll be really tough to win if they do. But all in all, it was a really good effort today from the Cavs. I like the pacing. They played fast. They didn't play hurry. They played fast, not hurry, which is a crucial element to this offense. They rebounded well as a team. And they did everything I thought they could to win this game. So all in all, I give the effort an A+. A+. Execution offensively, C+. Execution defensively is an A. So for that, I think it's a hell of a dub and a hell of a way to start the playoffs. And guess what the best part is now? It is 5:55. You get to watch basketball the rest of the night. You get to watch basketball all day Sunday. You can sit back, you can relax knowing your team got a dub. And on paper and through 48 minutes of action, your team is the much better team in the series. You have, once again, I'll reiterate this from the get-go. This is why I picked the Cavs to win this series from the beginning. You have the best player in the series. You have home court advantage. You have a better roster, and you have more playoff experience. Those 4 factors together should equal, at minimum, a second-round appearance against, most likely, the Boston Celtics. That's going to wrap it up for this post-game show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry for the delay. It is what it is. We'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.